This is a photo taken in 1907 of the original homestead. In the very early days, the house was built in 1904. A little bit of financial history for the area. The homestead was originally 33,000 acres. That's how big the farm was. And after the Second World War, the government divided a lot of the farms up into 350-acre lots, so the returned servicemen had an occupation, and most of them had dairy cows, and the milk went down to the baling up cheese factory, which was made into cheese and butter, and most of it went over to England. They also had sheep for wool and meat, and orchard for fruit, and most of the apples, most of them were Granny Smiths, they went over to England as well. In the late 1960s, England joined the EEC, and we lost about 80% of our market to England for our butter and our wool and our apples. And basically all the farmers were getting in their 70s then, and they basically all walked off the land. This was an economic dead zone when all the alternative lifestylers were looking around for a beautiful place to live that was really cheap and clean, and all the alternative lifestylers started coming down. We were one of the first, and we actually started the economic health, I suppose, of the whole area. Most of us were single, didn't have much money. In the early days, the community was basically financed by 7 single mothers who put all their pension in, and the single guys did all the work of putting the water in and building shelters, cutting firewood for the girls, and milking the cows and picking the apples in the garden, etc. So basically there was no money around in the whole area at the time. That's why when the community got knocked back for its grant for repairing the homestead, and after Cyclone Alby, that's why we were offered it, because I had a business in Perth, and I was the best prospect for actually preserving the homestead, which is what Margie and I did. This is some pictures of the homestead prior to Cyclone Alby in the early days of the community. There's an asbestos veranda and single layer bricks underneath. You can see the loose veranda on the bottom picture, the tin there. When it was built, the iron came from England and it was too short, and they had to bolt a little piece all the way around, which weakened the veranda considerably. You can see the iron lifting in places there on the back where the join is. In 1984, the community applied for a Heritage Commission to a grant to restore the homestead because of the condition of the veranda, but it was not successful. This is after Cyclone Alby. Fair bit of the veranda was just flapping in the breeze, and the posts were on an angle, as you can see. And a little child, all the kids used to come down the winter and ride their bikes around. I was there one day and a little kid rode into one, and the full swing of it, they were 6x6 big posts. It just missed the little kid's head by about an inch when it landed. And Margie put her foot through the veranda, so after that we decided it had to be fixed. This is a report by Ian Molyneux. He was a National Trust architect, and this is his report on the homestead. In the December business meeting of 1990, we were offered the homestead on the basis that if we undertook to repair it, restore all the veranda and the big front wall, the brick wall in the sanctuary, that we would do so on the basis that we would be able to live there for as long as we wanted to, and no money either way. So Margie and I thought about this quite a lot. It was a very big decision to take. At the time, I was the only one who worked regularly in the community, and I had a demolition business, and we decided to take it on that basis. Margie has basically always been the meeting person, the greeting person for any visitors, and we have tried to put anyone up who came to stay in a good spirit there. This was reconfirmed again in the 1995 business meeting. This is a little bit of a history for how long the Miskimmins had lived there. Margie and I have had advice from Christopher Garvey, lawyer in Bunbury, and he said that agreement constitutes a residential tenancy agreement between Miskimmins and the community, and in law that is valid. There's some pictures of the restoration work. There's Damien and Elizabeth and myself. The bottom one is the old laundry block. It used to be at the back of the homestead. So that's the pipe being dug for the septic tank at the back of the homestead. There's Mark and Jeff Lovett, who helped me pull everything down in their demo gear. And this is various photos of the deconstruction. So as you can see, there was a lot of rubble and a lot of rubbish pulled down to clear the site, making way for the new work to happen. And that's Max Reed and Chris Ottey and Mark starting on the rebuilding of the veranda. I actually carted a lot of the timber for this from the mill, and a lot of my labour is not counted in this work. There's Peter Luck. He actually put all the floor joists and all the flooring in for us. Did a great job. I supplied all the recycled flooring and all the timber. There's some white ant damage to the south side of the building. and that's fixing up where the laundry used to be. There's Jessica. Jessica and I laid the first bit of flooring from where the laundry used to be down to the side door so we could access that because we were living in there while it got done. And below is Peter on the finish surveying his handiwork. Here's a few of the costings from back then. Some of the historical costs of the homestead. This is a residential tenancy agreement, according to the lawyer in Bunbury, Christopher. He's saying, while John and other people may have a different view of it, he said this is a totally legal binding agreement between the Muskimmins and Brooklands community, which I need to be put down as continuing as the original agreement for as long as I wish to live there. I need the community to endorse this. If this does not happen, I shall unfortunately have to take legal action against the community and the 4 people who have been causing all this trouble.